Our project is called the Lifeways of the First Australians, and we've been working the last few years in the southern Kimberley in the limestone reef system, an ancient limestone reef in which there are many cave sites and evidence of people living outside the caves as well. The best thing about working in the southern Kimberley is working with the traditional owners. So we're working with the Bunapa people on the west and the Gunyandi people on the east. And it's fabulous working with them, firstly because they're interested, so lots of enthusiasm and people coming out on trips with us, but also because they know the landscape so well and can take us to places and tell us about what that means to them and provide some information about places that we could never get from any other sources. So we're really grateful that we're able to work with them. So when we started this project, we were interested particularly in looking at old material, getting a good sample of old material, because both Sue and I had worked in the region before and we knew there was a possibility of very early material, and we were interested in how people occupied a new continent, how they colonised it, what sort of technology was needed for that, and what kind of symbolic behaviours were needed for colonisation of a new continent. We've done quite a few excavations now, and we have got some very good dated sequences with wonderful old fireplaces around which are artefacts and animal bones that people have been representing meals of past meals, plant remains, symbolic artefacts such as beads, shell beads, and bits of other shiny shell. What we've found is that people have been living there for probably about 50,000 years. It had been suggested in the past that people may not have been able to live in that environment during the last ice age when conditions were much drier than they are today, but we found that they did indeed live through that, although perhaps in slightly smaller numbers than before and after that period, but still continued all the way through. Technologically, they had a very flexible technology with using stone artefacts that had a variety of uses. And particularly important for the very first colonisers was ground stone axes, and we've found fragments of these right from the very earliest deposits. And what's interesting about them in particular is that first they're invented in Australia. There's no other groundstone axes found from that time period anywhere in the world, and that it might suggest that people had a technology with a lot of wood in it, because those axes might have been used for helping to make wooden artefacts, and that may be why we don't see a great diversity of artefacts from the very earliest times. This project is a project that's jointly run through ANU and also UWA with myself and Professor Sue O'Connor as the other Chief Investigator. We have had great support from the Australian Research Council, from the Kimberley Foundation Australia, and from the Department of Prime Minister, as it now is. It used to be the Department of Environment. So that's where we've had our financial support, but we've had a lot of people who've been involved in this project.